are talking about connecting with past lives. Derek Jameson, such a joy to have you as part of this series. Derek Jameson is a spiritual life coach and channel trained in quantum healing hypnosis technique, past life regression. Derek began connecting to spirit through music as a teen, became a personal trainer to help others reclaim their power, and stepped into spiritual development to reconnect humanity. So here we go, baby.
I love it. And I love all these names I see popping into the room too.
I know. It's a party. So I'm going to start off by just saying, what got you into, I mean, I know I kind of read your bio here, but I'd love to hear from you. What's your journey been? How'd you get into all of this?
Well, I have been connected with my own like ancient Egyptian past lives. One specifically, because there's multiple lives that we can live within one culture or civilization. Obviously, those are long stretches of time, but I was connected with that when I was really, really young. And I even went into a metaphysical bookstore when I was in junior high. Speaking of junior high, actually, that's when all of that first started for me, was having a metaphysical bookstore at the end of my street that was connected next door to like a card and pog shop, like a baseball card shop. But of course, I wanted to go in the metaphysical shop. So I have had a connection with metaphysical work and past lives, that kind of stuff for a long time, but I never consciously really got into it. And I knew I had some kind of connection to ancient Egypt, a past life connection to that, but I didn't know at that age that we would have past lives, that it was possible. I just knew that I had an emotional reaction within my body to ancient Egyptian culture and pictures, images, anything that would come on. And I kind of just kept that to myself, so I didn't really think too much of it. But that's really where it started. And then, as you said, music became a channel. And I think that spirit wanted me to communicate and transmit that energy somehow, some way. And also for me to learn how to communicate, because I was so shut off as a bullied kid that I didn't want anyone, I couldn't speak about anything. So I would just harbor the darkness within me. Music became the channel for me in order to get it outside of my body. And then that transferred over time. And finally, I accepted my mission. I was actually playing music one time that actually created the conditions that allowed me to have the full like moment of, Derek, now it's time for you to actually step into what you're really meant to do. It's that time. And ever since I said, okay, I'm ready, everything kind of cracked open. Everything I would watch or come across was like, you have to do past lives. It was absolutely insane how it would it would show up in my face and everything would align. And here we are talking about it right now.
It all started with Enigma, sign language, and
Probably. It literally probably did.
Oh, I love it so much. Hi, Tommy. And Alice, she says, it's a perfect time for past life journeying. The portal is open for eclipse season.
Oh, it's open, girl. It is. Has it ever been open? The last 2 weeks, I can't even tell you the like astral connections and like work I've been doing with so many people, and then specifically one-on-one people. It's like they're the lead of the show. Every one person becomes the lead of my dreams, and we're working on stuff like unlike I've ever worked on it before. So the portal is wide open.
Beam me up, Scotty. Let's go. Mia, you are so gorgeous. Thank you. And hi, Abigail. Yeah, it's like all this stuff has just been surfacing, wanting to be purged and released. And I got to be totally honest, Derek, I am a little timid and fearful to talk about this topic because I haven't done my own past life regression. And I think a part of me is scared to do so of what I might find. Katie says, I have done multiple sessions with Derek for past lives, and they are so amazing, therapeutic, helpful, and moving. So perhaps my first one should be with you, Derek. But yeah, could you speak a little bit about, like, I'm sure you get this from folks who are scared to dive into past lives for that reason.
I think that people don't understand their own power and the fact that they're in control. And so when we think about past lives and knowing that we can have past lives that have traumatic events within them and already kind of tuning into those timelines, that is what can tend to allow us to separate from wanting to even connect with it. We don't know, it's the unknown. And when we step into the unknown, we don't know what we're going to find. And spirit is pouring energy down my head right now for this. So whoever's listening actually really needs to hear this message. But it's really that space of the unknown. And that is really the test and the gift within that, is us being willing to face that mirror of ourselves and step through the mirror. Because we create, as you know, mental prisons for ourselves that we constructed ourselves, and then we put ourselves in the cage and we lock the door from the inside. And that's the whole thing, is we lock the door from the inside. We're in control of that situation. And if we can remember that, you know, we're creating a timeline where this could be fearful or this could be scary, but there's also all these other timelines where it's absolutely incredible, moving, powerful, beautiful, and life-changing. And so when I think the first thing that we would want to do when stepping into a deeper meditative past life connection or regression is to go, this is for me. And this is going to serve me, and anything I'm shown is shown to me by my higher self, who's the transcendent version of me that has connection to all of my past lives and that is in connection to the source itself. And if we can remember that the only things that we're shown are for us to learn more about us, we take the power back, and then we're able to step in with bravery, and to know that whatever we're doing is exactly what it should be.
I love that. I love how you completely just shifted the perspective, because yeah, where I was coming from as I was explaining that was fear. And you're bringing up the point of like, and there's so much power and beauty that is also found in this, and the duality of all of it. So I love it so much. And Abigail says, nothing comes through that we aren't ready for. And you literally just said that before she put up there. Alice, 100% yes, this conversation is fire. Yes. Wow. So where to even begin? How does one connect with past lives?
Well, you know, people are already, this is the fun part. So it's like when people are like, well, how do I get into that? Or how do I do it?
Right.
How do I know I'm ready? What I want everyone to always know is that they're already connected to them. And if you know that it's just like developing psychic abilities and intuition. You're already tuned into these abilities. It's about the acknowledgement of where you already are in the present moment with it all. That opens the doorways for you to access the next levels. But in order for us to gain more light and more power, we have to acknowledge the fact that we are already powerful and in connection with it. Yeah. And so look at the ways, like for you, look at simply what's an ancient past, like an ancient civilization, or even just within the last decades, in the 1900s that you might connect to. You could be the 1920s. You could feel like you're connected to the 1920s.
Oh, I'm a flapper for sure.
Oh, see? That's probably why that came forward for you.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And you can connect to that stuff already. So when you hear the certain music, all of a sudden you're just transported into that time. You can almost feel the way your hair looked. You can feel yourself like performing. And it just becomes this click that happens, and you can feel it in your cells. So that's one way that I think people can connect to their past lives and go, how am I already connected? For me, as a young one, it was knowing that anytime I'd watch something that was ancient Egyptian or read it in a book, I felt like I was in it. I felt like it was my story. I would get emotional and feel it within my body, but not have an explanation for it. So look at the types of music, the types of cultures, the places around the world that you're drawn to travel to. Those are huge indicators of where you have past lives. For me, like the two places I had to go before I died were Egypt and out to see Auschwitz. These were two major things I had to do. And I was also really connected to Thailand. And when you go to these places, it almost is like just a remembrance, an understanding, a soul retrieval, a fragment that you pick back up of yourself to help you understand what it is you're doing here now, and that correlation. So everyone's already connected to it. It's about acknowledgement of the ways that you already are.
That is beautiful. Yeah, I definitely, and it, now I'm remembering, I did see a psychic about a year and a half ago, and she mentioned to me in a past life that I was royalty, celebrity, queen, or whatever, and that in this lifetime, I'm moving more towards an Aquarius, like being humanitarian, community. But I just find it so fascinating because it's like, okay, well, maybe that makes sense why from a young age, I was like, you know, always in front of the camera, and still am, obviously. But it's like, okay, interesting. In a past life, I already was celebrity. So I guess it makes sense that being in front of a camera doesn't really bother me. And Abigail says, yes, places on the earth awakening us.
And with what you just said is very important too, is because that the fact that you're tuning into that past life means it has a parallel to this one. Meaning you go through those experiences to be in front of the camera, to get comfortable in front of that, to tune into a past life for your present moment power. Because it was instilling the tools and the magical things that you would need to bridge these two realities. So now what you've done is you've taken that. I'm getting huge waves. A lot of this is like a read for you, by the way.
Yeah.
I've already tuned up. I channel, so I'm tuned up beforehand, and like it's just
I'm
like,
so here for it.
it's all for you. So that's what we want to think about. It's about, we're vibrating at a certain frequency that matches other lives. That's how we can access those past lives. It all is dependent on vibrational resonance and where you're at now. So as you're tuning into that and bringing that information forward, it's all to help you ground what your mission is here, to pull that past life version of you into this particular present one, so that you can combine the two and create that balance and symbiosis in order to accomplish the mission that you wanted. So, and I would say that you're doing that. And I would say that it's growing even more.
Yeah, I can feel that. It's beautiful. Alice says, yes, soul retrieval. What were you going to say?
No, I see Io saying he feels like he's learning so much. So I just love it.
Yeah. So many beautiful people joining us on this live. I love it. Hi, Jeremy. Yes, soul retrievals are painful, but such an honor to receive in this lifetime. Yeah.
You know, with that, I feel really tuned into this conversation, and like I see things plopping in my head. But when it comes to soul retrieval, you know, as I said, I have connections with ancient Egypt. And when I first went to Egypt, it was in 2001. It was when 9/11 happened. So I was in Egypt on 9/11, and I went on a tour by myself. As I said, I had to go to Egypt before I died, and who knew where that was going to be. So I saved the money, spent the money on the tour. And when 9/11 and the first plane hit, I was at a temple called the Temple of Sobek, the crocodile god on the Nile River. And we got a message that one plane had crashed into the Twin Towers. And then we got another text message to the tour manager that another one had hit. Wow. It was so wild. But wow, to be in that temple where this god is like the crocodile god of deep-seated fears, and this thing that people can look at as something that's heavy or darker energy.
Right.
And to be in this place, and it all was so divinely timed. So when I went back in 2019, I was at that temple again. I woke up and the cruise ship was pulling up to the temple at the sunrise, and I walked out to the top of the deck and no one was out there. And I looked at the temple and I was like, oh my God, I'm back here. I'm back at this place where there was a little bit of a fragmentation that wow, took place. And as I stepped in there, I felt the energy. I just stepped back and absorbed it all. And I was like, and there was this image of these gods pouring ankhs, like the ankh, into the head of a devotee. And when I looked at that, I felt all of my energy surge up, and I was like, oh, I'm closing up timelines here, and I'm reclaiming pieces of myself that I had splintered off, not only in this lifetime from that event, but other lifetimes that parallel it.
Wow.
So it's pretty powerful when you find yourself in places around the world or places that you're called to. You don't even know that it's going to happen. You're just following your impulses,
Right.
and it leads you to the opportunities that allow you to integrate those soul fragments.
That is so beautiful. It makes me, I want to sign up for a session with you, Derek. How do I do that?
Well, I do. So I do some past. I usually do them on full moons, and I didn't do it this one because I was integrating into energy for the last 2 weeks. But
Wow.
I usually do past life meditations for people that want to do it on Zoom. But that's a meditation. You're not going to have the same experience as you're going to have in a regression. The regression with me is around 5 hours long, depending on the person. And it's like in sections, and I get you to a really deep state. First of all, we get you really comfortable and in a trusting, open, loving environment, tuning you up. You get into a deep state so you can access that information, and it literally will look like you have virtual reality goggles on and you're going through it. So rather than me telling you, because I don't always like telling people information. I want to show you that you have the access to see and time travel, that you can take your consciousness into these other realities and completely experience a visceral experience. And so in order to do that and show you that you're capable of this, it does take a little time to get you into that space.
Yeah.
And then along with that, besides seeing other lifetimes, you're given the opportunity to ask any questions you've ever wanted to know your entire life. Or if there's things going on in your life now that you want to heal, or next steps to take in your life or to let go of, physical healing, mental, emotional healing, all in this session. So you can see why it is a deeper experience, and it does take a little bit of time. But when you're quantum, 5 hours feels like 1 hour, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And Abigail has a question. She says, when you are in the middle of a karmic timeline shift and releasing contracts, any tips besides releasing with love?
So when it comes to releasing and doing that, we want to think about, we want to think about two things. Do we integrate the teaching and we allow it in and we integrate it, or do we want to send it to the light, or both? And I think it's very important that we learn what we're being called to do. We never want to take, and when we're healing a karmic timeline, we never want to create duality from it and see it as something that isn't part of us. If we try to just release it and be like, I'm letting that go, that's not part of me, then we're denying an aspect of ourselves that was literally teaching us how to reach higher into light about who we are. So I think it's important that we ask that question. Is this like, what do I want to do with this? This is part of me. That part of me also does need love. As you said, Abigail, it does need love. But what we have to do with it is use that beautiful gift and see it as a gift that we can then transfer over and use to teach others. We don't want to take an experience and be like, okay, I released that and never look at it again.
Yeah.
Because the only reason that we go through things is literally so that we can help everyone else. And in a higher timeline, we've chosen some traumatic events to experience for that very thing.
Yeah, it's like you're transmuting it almost. That's what came through for me. I don't know if that makes any sense. And I think you might have touched on this, Derek. Why in the world would anyone want to do a past life regression, besides the fact that they're into woo-woo and all the fun quantum stuff?
Well, like I said, there's different levels that we go through with an actual regression, not necessarily the meditation. Those are lighter. But when some people are just curious. Some people just want to know what it was. They want to have fun. And that's honestly the best way for people to go into, is having fun. They access the coolest information because they don't have fear or expectation, like filtering it and squeezing the pipe hole, right?
Right.
So sometimes people come to me and they're like, I'm just curious and I want to know. Some people have been an outcast their entire life and don't understand why. and why they can't have human connection the way that they see other people doing. And when they're in a regression, they might see that maybe they weren't from here and this was a very new experience, and they have other cosmic experiences that are more aligned with what their expression is. Some people, I've had people on the border of committing suicide, to be honest with you, but they knew that this was calling to them. And when they had this experience, they got to see why the difficulty they have with this timeline, the wars and the way people treat each other, was because they come from a higher dimension where everything is love. And they could not compute it. I know some powerful people that have come in and they don't want to be here because of the way people treat each other, and they can't handle it. It's because they have other timelines that they're connected to that doesn't exist in. So it just depends on different things. There can be physical healing. Some people have seen me because they have physical ailments and they want those healed. And when you are in a deep state and we get your conscious mind out of the way, your higher self, your oversoul, your spirit friends that work with you, your ancestors, dude, your ancestors, when you do these, they come through. They are all, I can literally see the light around people when they're sitting in front of me. I'm always like, I see you guys, you're there, because they all come forward to help you heal, because you're also healing timelines for them that they had to work through. So you're healing ancestral timelines, cycles and patterns that have taken place through the family lineage that still exists within your DNA that can get activated because of an event that takes place. And they all step forward. So you get deep energy coming through you, surging through you during these experiences. So that's why it's such a deep, beautiful thing that happens, and things you never knew would come forward that help you ground who you are in this current lifetime, so that you can learn to trust yourself and not give your power away to what you believe society thinks you should do, your family, or any old past belief systems that you're holding on to.
So freaking powerful. And it just gets me feeling like how multidimensional we truly are. Damn.
And anyone listening to this conversation right now, we're talking about some high level stuff. Hi, Vicky. We're talking about really high vibrational stuff. So as you're listening to this, you're also receiving a vibration of higher frequency light. And I would highly suggest you drink water during this process, and also being a full moon and everything going on. Drink a lot of water, because everyone's getting an upgrade right now that's paying attention to this. And my crown is literally like, I feel this pillar of information just pouring in like that ancient Egyptian temple.
Your guys are like, woo!
Oh, it's like water flowing through. But this is all for the people that are here. So whoever's here, the information I channel through when I answer a question is literally for the people that have shown up. Their collective guides and angels and ancestors are all part of this conversation. So the information that comes through is literally for the specific people that will be a part of this conversation.
This is amazing. I'm just going to read some of the comments here. This is beautiful. Thank you for the upgrade. Love the energy here. Yes, yes, yes. Alice, she says, yes, I was a hermit and both needed it and loved it. Too sensitive to go outside, but now I stand in my sovereignty and I'm strong enough to be outside amongst other humans unawakened. There is a question here, if you're open to answering questions, Derek.
I'm always open.
Always open. AO asks, are past lives connected to situations where people pass them, then come back to our lives? I've heard so many stories on that. At first thought it was strange, but anyone have thoughts on it?
Like reincarnation, or wait, can you say it again?
Yeah, where are past lives connected to situations where people pass and then come back to life?
Like people say they met people or heard information and told stories about it. Sure, yes. There's all kinds of levels that can occur. So some people reincarnate into this lifetime. And listen, you have a choice. This is like a fast track of ascension. You don't always have to come back to the earth reality in order to learn. But we love the adventure of it from a spiritual aspect, We are so down for the adventure of everything that we're willing to come back in. So some people go to heaven and come back to earth. Yes. So yeah. So people, we can leave. Like me, I love earth. Like some people don't. Man, I love it, but I've been around. My first earth incarnation is in Atlantis. And some of the people that connect with me, I'm getting waves down my body, are from that timeline where we connected in, and we're just reconnecting in this lifetime to bring it back the golden age, to bridge it over. So I've come through from ancient timelines like that, but my soul, or a fragment of me, was also part of the seeding of humanity deep, 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 a long time ago. So I come from other cosmic lineages, and I have the versions of me from those other cosmic timelines that will step forward. It is so multi-layered that it can be beyond what your comprehension of it all is. And I would just go with what feels right for you at the level that you're at. So yes, we can leave this particular lifetime, and the fact that you're even listening to this and interested in it and wanting to know more means you are one of those people. You have passed on from a physical incarnation and come back in to learn more, so that your soul could expand and reconnect and heal ancestors and connect with everybody. So
yeah. And I love how you brought up the point of our human mind, like we can't necessarily comprehend it. And this is something that I don't want to say struggle, but it's something that I'm aware of, is the fact that my human mind can be limiting my ability to connect to these other realms and quantum. And so how important it is, I guess that's why you do the 5 hours, where you just totally wipe out any of that chatter that might be interfering with your ability to connect with past lives.
yeah. And that's why there's what is known as like a fear-pain barrier. And when we meet that fear-pain barrier, like you said, I have a little trepidation around doing that. When we meet that membrane, we can look at it. So look at it as this like ceiling that we create for ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. We have to be able to face that ceiling and push through the cracks in order to access the higher light. Because that fear-pain barrier has hooks in us that anchor us down to past frequencies and timelines. Past lives, things within this lifetime that we're connected to. And that fear, because we have to understand that the reason why they do that is because the vibrational resonance of fear and guilt and shame and all those hate, all of that is such a low frequency of vibration that it will literally hold you back from accessing the higher light and love. So when we begin to confront those things, change our relationship with guilt, shame, fear, hate, and all that, and we transmute it using your word, and we change that, we begin to release all of that, because we've now seen and we've now alchemized it from one thing into another, and that thing allows us to float up into the higher dimensions to receive. And I will tell you that the only way that I was able to be where I am now with this kind of connection was because when I was playing music and I got the signal, I was like, okay, I'm supposed to do this. I got the download. It was like, Derek, you have to do this again. You can't do it with fear. You got scared long ago, because I was reading tarot when I was a teenager and negative entities came. I take responsibility, but I said, okay, I'm ready, and I'm ready to do it from a place of love. And when I said that I am, that affirmation we all know is so powerful, and I said, I am ready from a place of love, I tuned myself into that frequency. And that is when, at first, it was angels. Angels started coming through. It was mind-blowing, the experience that I've had. I've literally seen, when I first started opening up to it, I saw a light beam about this big shoot through the ceiling. I kid you not, it shot through the ceiling, hit the center of my chest, and my chest went boom and shot up, and I started crying.
Wow.
And it was releasing something deep in my heart. But where that came from, I could not tell you. Just higher light, higher dimensions. But it was when I said that I was ready to connect. because then they said, oh, thank God. And then they all,
baby.
they poured it in. And every day I had new beings coming. And so it went from angels to other dimensional beings. And every day I would get new beings and I would be like, oh my God, who are you? Like, you're beautiful. I hope you're coming every day. And then sometimes I never see them again. And then it's a new being, a new being, a new being. So it is when we say we're ready and we know that we're the ones. You're the one with the body, Tyler. Like, everyone, you're the one with the physical body. You're the one that has the non-physical team that is supporting your mission, because you chose to come in during the bridge of it all. So we are the commanders of the ship, and all of these spirit beings, ancestors, angels, guides, extraterrestrial versions, past goddesses, gods, I mean, elementals, fairies, dragons, you name it. They're all sitting there around you going,
yay.
And they're so happy because you're the one that chose, and you're the one that was so brave to step in and face the darkness and still learn how to access your light within it.
Yes, and I feel like so many are scared to talk about these things because we don't talk about it. We're not taught this stuff in school. We see some of it in the movies, I guess, but it's like, no, I just love having these open conversations about it where it doesn't have to be science fiction, you know?
And that's part of our one of our tests and gifts. Because it is when we release the fear of being true to ourselves and honest and open. Look at what I'm talking about how I connect with extraterrestrials. I'm talking about what I don't talk about a lot. The light beam that came through the ceiling.
Yeah.
Listen, I know how that can sound to people. But if I don't live my truth, which it is my truth, I'm literally not a person that can lie. If you ask me something and I did something, I'll be like, yeah, I did do that. I mean, to my parents all the time, they know me. I can't lie. And so when I talk about this stuff, it is so true that I can feel it light up within my body. And I have so much trust and faith within it that even the people, and remember this to everyone that's listening, anytime that you are brave enough and you step forward and you just say the stuff that you experience and say the stuff that you feel and say the stuff that you see, say the stuff that you dream of, when someone is triggered by it or makes fun of you or thinks you're crazy, it is actually part of the soul contract that would allow them to awaken. So you serve their soul growth because they think you're crazy and you triggered them. And anytime you make people mad or whatever, it's a beautiful experience. You're like, good, that means you're growing. You
can thank me later.
You'll thank me on the astral plane and we'll deal with it then.
Exactly. And I did see Mia asked a question here, which towards the end of the conversation, we can talk about how to sign up to work with you. If you're even taking clients or what that looks like, if that's cool.
Yeah.
Even though I already kind of asked you, because I was like, how do I work with you? Alice says, wow, Derek, how you are communicating is mind-blowing. Mercury's retrograde, but it doesn't seem to affect you in any bad way, which is beautiful to witness.
So I want to say something about that.
Let's do it.
So remember that the planets and the influences that we come in with and the challenges that we have within our astrological signs are meant for us to be able to rise up to the challenge and receive the opportunity to transcend them. And when we are influenced by the negative aspects of the spheres, it is giving us an opportunity to go, okay, I'm met with an opportunity to face myself. And like, I'm a Cancer. I was born on July 11th. As I was younger, I got deep into my feelings. It was all over the place, right?
I love Cancers. My brother's a Cancer.
And we can get emotional and so on and so forth. But that's also our sensitivity and our superpower, because that's where that emotional flow and that spirituality and all that stuff comes through.
Right.
But I don't identify with a lot of what the Cancerian attributes are anymore. Because I've allowed myself to face those things and transcend those aspects. I used it as an opportunity to master my energy. So when it comes to Mercury in retrograde, yeah, some people are experiencing a lot of different things already. But when you, this is the good stuff, but when you start your day and end your day by tuning up into the higher realms of unconditional love, by raising your consciousness way up into that space, you transcend and make this portal that goes up into the higher light straight into you. And you can transcend the effects of those things. And that is your choice. So as before we even started this conversation, I sat here and I tune into my beings, and I ground myself on earth. I asked Mama Gaia to clear any lower frequencies, any self-centeredness, transmute it into light. I connect my crown really high, and I envision this beam of light going all the way up into love, into the source energy. So that way I'm suspended between the heavens and earth. And that I envision my angels and guides all around me, creating this beautiful aura and energy. So that way we can all commune with the highest frequency, and that you don't hear anything that's ego-based or like anything that comes through like that. It's just whew.
Straight channeling. I love it. Yeah. Oh, hi, Tracy.
Tracy.
Tracy. Yes. Well, this conversation is fascinating. I feel like I could talk to you for hours, actually. And I want to get to this question, though, which is how do these two things work together to serve our life purposes? Which I think you already touched on, but maybe we can just go over it again, which is how to connect to spirit guides and past lives, why we want to do that, and then how these two things work to serve our life purpose.
So when it comes to spirit guides, it's important that everybody understands that they have them. Everybody has non-physical, unseen friends that are in support of your journey. But they come from a higher space of light where they don't need you to fully know that they're there or that you have to connect or do things with them. But they are there. Like, they don't have an ego. When we move into non-physical, we don't have an ego that that we would have as a human being. So they move into non-physical, and they're in support of you. Now, it's good to know that they're there because you can communicate with them. You can receive messages from them. You can be guided by them, but only when you're open to it, because we have the free will, right? So your ancestors that have passed on, I'm sure many people listening are like, oh yeah, I always sense my grandma, or I sense my grandfather, or I smell this. That's because that's the signal that they're letting you know that they're there, if you're willing to pick up on it. And when beings in our current lifetime pass on, they don't just go away. They want you to be successful. Part of their passing is actually to support your mission on this earth, even when it seems too soon. Because your mission is so important on this planet at this particular time that when ancestors pass on for whatever reason it might be, normal, traumatic, whatever it is, we don't know what their soul contracts are, what they need to experience. But they move on, and they assist you from that other space. So you're always willing to talk to them and connect with them. And then you have angels who didn't have a physical incarnation necessarily. They come, they're pure energy, beautiful vibration that assist you, that have been around. You have teachers who come in, like Master Jesus and Buddha, Krishna, you have El Mariah, you have all of these ascended masters who come in at specific times of your life to give you the teaching. And when you think about that, when you connect with a being and you see them in a meditation or a dream, you're like, oh, I just saw Krishna. You can be sure that it is because you hold the Krishna frequency. That Krishna is actually a part of you. So those people who really connect with Jesus and maybe see Jesus in meditation or really connect, it is because they hold the fragments of Jesus. It is not without them. You have to have the vibrational resonance of anything to experience it.
Oh, it's so amazing. And I just want to share some stories on my spiritual path. with guides and connecting to angels and such, because I don't really talk about it much on my Instagram, but we're coming out of the spiritual closet today. So
yeah, woo,
woo!
it's because I'm holding my Lemurian crystal.
Cue the enigma. What was I gonna say? Okay, so some experiences that I've had that have just been really a confirmation that yes, Tyler, this does exist. This is real. This is your reality, and that's okay. And it's beautiful. Come on out, Diva. That's right. That's right.
Yes, Vicky.
So there's a meditation spot that I always go to at Sunset Cliffs. And I've been meditating there for years, but it wasn't until last year I was meditating and I looked down, it was low tide, and there was a rock. And it was in the shape of Buddha. And I was like, Buddha, what's up? I was like, and that's where I meditate. And so I just got this really strong connection to Master Buddha. And then there's been many times where I'm either in a state of like confusion and there's upheaval in my life and kind of turmoil, and I will not necessarily look up, but just open my arms, open my heart, pray to Master Jesus, to angels. And I've had these experiences where chills will just cover my entire body. I'll get cold, but not in a bad way. It's like, it's almost like you can feel their presence. And then I just started crying, but from a place of love. It's such a hard experience to describe because it was just so more of a feeling of absolute unconditional love and peace. And I was like, can I experience this more often? This would be amazing. But yeah, there's something very special and sacred when we begin to say yes and open ourselves up to these portals and to the spirit realm. And I personally find so much peace and empowerment from it.
This is what I want those of you who are ready to say it. This is what will open your heart. This will break away some of the energy that you've allowed to be there to protect yourself. And those, 444. Sorry, it's 444 up there, but I saw it on my clock over there.
Yeah. Yes. A lot of that.
But this statement will help you release the past in the very moment that you say it. And anytime that you want to reach higher and you want to raise your vibration and you want to connect deeper, and when you're in nature and you're in those meditative places, say, I am willing to receive more love. And if you feel called to do it, those of you who are listening right now, say it in your mind, say it out loud, whatever you feel like it, but say it. I am willing to receive more love. And in that moment that you do, you open up a pathway to unconditional love from the higher realms that you may just feel it within your body at the moment that you say it. Because even when I just said it, my beings sent a wave of energy through my body. Yes, Vicky. Yes, Alessandra.
Yes.
I am willing to receive more love. And I'm telling you, when I was channeling, I learned this when I was channeling. Because at first when we were channeling, you're trying to figure out, am I connecting with a being? Is this me? You're judging, you're not observing, you're analyzing it. And so when I was in this state and I was sitting with a group of people, with my teacher and the other students, and I would sit there and I would say that, and I would say, I am willing to receive more love, and I'm willing to accept more love. And even the moment that I say that, I was like, oh shit, I could feel it. And my heart just started opening up and expanding. But you have to be willing to receive more love in order to understand the messages that are coming through from spirit. And Tyler, when you did that and you recognized Buddha, you connected into Buddha, Christ consciousness that way. And then you felt the energy come through you because you allowed it and you aligned with it. Yes. And anybody can do that.
Oh, I forgot to mention while that was happening, a hawk flew and literally like a few feet away from me, just perched up right next to me. And that to me was Horus, like that sort of energy. But anyways.
Well, and when you think of that and you think of Horus, you think of intuition, divine perception, third eye. You think of
Right.
illumination. You think of seeing things from a higher perspective,
Yeah.
protective. And because you allowed yourself that moment to really receive divine perspective and a higher light and frame of reference, you opened yourself up. Then you were able to see everything align around you to show you that everything truly is as divine as you want it to be.
Yes.
If you choose it and you want it to be, the universe will work exactly for you.
Yeah. The way I see it, it's like we can live our life in, you know, the 3D and all of that, or we can choose to live a life that's magical. And yeah, maybe it's not going to align with everyone and there might be some judgment around it, but you know what? This is my truth, and that brings me peace. So,
and it's important that we, even when we think about that, we don't even have to worry about the fact that other people again might be triggered or worried about or might think you're crazy, because what you know to be true is that higher light. And when you do that, you change so many more people's lives. And even again, I'm going to say it again, the people that you trigger that think you are crazy, you are the one meant to crack open their hearts to see that something else is possible. And if they were never given that opportunity, when's it going to come for them?
Yeah.
So always stand in that place that when you make a decision to be unapologetically in love and open, it is when we shut our hearts down that we cannot expand within light and love. But when you can open it with honesty, your truth will speak volumes.
Right. Yeah.
More than contracting your light and shutting it down.
Yes.
So we can always trust that it's okay. You know what? I've been made fun of since I was a kid. I was like trained for being made fun of. I got into music. People still made fun of me. I mean, I got so many things written about me. I've been trained to like take a blow in so many ways. But I really have been trained to be able to understand the dynamics of this. And so when it was time, I had to step through that portal too. So I would dye my hair dark, like a dark brown, because I love just the dark brown. And a test of mine was to be able to let it grow out to its actual natural color, which is this.
Gorgeous.
And to break down the ego that I had built for myself. And within that moment, that is that mirror that we first began to talk about, is stepping through that beautiful gate. Because I guarantee you that when you do, and anyone that's listening, when you allow yourself to feel the fear and do it anyway, you have no idea of all the doors that open up on the other side of that gate. I guarantee it. You attract all the people who resonate with you. You attract your soul family. You attract prosperity and money. You attract food and dinners and trips. You attract the highest angels that always have been a part of your experience. You attract your self-love within that experience.
Love it. And I want to play Enigma again.
Yes.
Oh, this is just such an amazing conversation. Yes.
It's because all these people that are here with us too are all, their energy is all part of this. And it really took them being a part of this for what's coming through here, because I see who's here and I know how powerful and beautiful these people are. And so us together have created a vortex of powerful energy. And the fact that we're doing this with a full moon energy too, there's a reason why we're all here, baby. There's a reason.
Yeah. I'm buzzing with energy. I'm ready to go out there and quantum leap and do
Let's get into some past lives.
Yes, past lives.
Future lives.
Yes. So actually on that note, how can people connect with you if they are interested in working with you or learning more? What's the best way?
Well, so with a regression, it has to be in person. Regressions need to be in person because they're so deep. And it's like, I don't want you on a Zoom and I'm trying to guide you. It's just not the vibe.
Okay.
You really have these deeper experiences when it's in person. People have more trust, more allowing. You don't want to be in the middle of a regression and then all of a sudden the Wi-Fi cut out, you
Right.
know? And it's just a different experience. Hold on. And so that said, I know that people do want to work with me for past lives. So that's why I started my past life meditation series, where people can get a connection. I've created an online course too that it teaches people about past lives, takes you through a meditation to connect with one that people can get as well. I just wanted this so accessible to everyone that if people can't get a past life regression, at least they can join a meditation. And if not, they want to do it on their own and they want to do it with me, they can get the course. But I will announce those on my Instagram stories when I do a past life meditation. But those of you that are in Los Angeles or Southern California, you're welcome to message me or look on my website, which is on the Instagram. You can just go straight to it, wonderfullightbody.com, and it'll give you all the information. You can watch a video. I try to give you all the stuff so that you feel like you have a good sense of what quantum healing hypnosis technique is.
That's perfect. I'm in San Diego. I'm coming for you, Derek.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Well, thank you so much for all of your light, your wisdom. I feel like I just got so many codes and downloads because of this conversation, and for everyone else who joined and was a part of it. I mean, so freaking powerful. And on that note, we're going to end with this song. Thank you so much, Derek. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Much love.
Thank you, and thank you all. You're incredible, everybody. I really appreciate you all for being a part of this. It really did take you and all your love to make this what it was. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you. Love and light. Bye-bye.